Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola. It's great to see familiar faces and returning faces. And what I love about this church is nobody calls you and says, "Where were you? You weren't at Sunday at church," and you're in trouble. And so we welcome you today. We welcome you any day you want to come. We welcome you any day that you choose not to be here and then return. It's great to see new faces, and we welcome everyone to this congregation. I'm Nancy Hagman. I will be the service leader for today. And now I'm going to do a chalice lighting. Chalice lighting is a symbol of our congregation to open and close our service. And often we don't think about the significance of lighting the chalice, but it is to bring us together. And at the end of the service, we extinguish the chalice. So for today, it's by Amy Carol Webb. We meet in the spaces between us. Stillness, music, heard and unheard. The apparent void, teeming with the you and the I that often overlap in this one sacred living moment. We meet in the spaces between us. And now we'll have some opening words. The vibrations on the air are the breath of God speaking to our souls. Music is the language of God. Ludwig van Beethoven. And if you'll stand, we'll share our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this church.
And service is law.
This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And I didn't ask, do you want them standing or sitting?
For the entire presentation?
Yeah, for the entire presentation. No, for this next part.
I forget what the next part is.
It's musicians in congregation.
Okay, beautiful. So sitting is fine.
You may be seated. On command. Isn't that interesting?
We're going to do a chant together. We're going to say Om Shanti Om. Om is a seed syllable which resonates with the frequency of the universe. Some people would say it's the sound that happened when the universe began. Om. And Shanti means peace in Sanskrit. So the chant is Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Okay? Now there's a couple of other little parts that can sail over it, which I wrote a little bit about. We're going to chant about Krishna. We're going to use the words Krishna and Rama. And I'll just tell it to you. Krishna is often yeah, sorry. You know what? Since I took the time to write this, I'll read it.
Yes.
So, members of the choir and anyone else who is moved to may add another layer on top of Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti, or Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. A second layer which references Krishna and Rama. Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu, the great god Vishnu. Krishna is a Hindu deity associated with peace, protection, compassion, tenderness, and love. Krishna is often depicted as a baby or a child with skin blue like that of Vishnu. Rama is also an avatar of Vishnu, the seventh avatar, and is the protagonist in the Hindu epic tale, the Ramayanam, in which he exemplifies insurpassable discipline, spiritual devotion, surrender, and generally being completely attuned to the path of destiny. And you may hear the word Priya, which means dear or precious, when we sing Priya Krishna. And then there's a third optional layer which just goes Krishna, Shanti, Swaha. So Shanti, again, is peace, and Swaha is kind of like Amen or Amen or Ashe. It's or so mote it be in the Wiccan tradition, something that you would use to make something stronger. Rick, a little quieter on the drone here. And maybe I'll stop with the accordion drone too. Didn't even remember I was still doing it. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. 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 Yep, and listen. Om Shanti Om while you're singing. Om Shanti Om. Beautiful. Krishna Krishna, Priya Krishna, Rama Rama, Om. Krishna Krishna, Priya Krishna, Rama Rama, Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Krishna Krishna, Priya Krishna, Rama Rama Shanti. Krishna Krishna, Priya Krishna, Rama Rama Swaha. Krishna Rama Rama Swaha. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. One more. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om.
And now it's a time for our musicians and our children together. Time for all ages.
Youth, young folks, I wanted to get all the people with, well, cool, brightly colored hair. I can see some natural and some unnatural, to come up here for a minute, and we're going to show the grown-ups how it's done.
Thank you.
We're going to do a little chanting together. If y'all are willing, I totally forgot to ask you in advance, but if you'd be willing to come up here and come up, we're just going to do a fun little chanting thing, 3 syllables. I'll conduct you through it.
Can grown-ups come up too?
And, well, you know, if the youth aren't comfortable coming up, then we'll just all do it together as grown-ups. But if you guys would be comfortable coming up, and a lot of you are going to be asking me for stuff in the future, like, you know, supporting play dates and things, keep that in mind. That'd be super cool. And probably the one with the bluest hair is going to have to, like, lead the group, because, thank you, awesome. Oh, you guys rock. You guys rock. So, since it's just the two of you, I think we'll do it as a room together. You guys being up here is fantastic, since Mom cuts your hair and dyes your hair, and it looks so dope, so people can all watch you while we're doing it. We're just going to do 3 syllables, and we'll all do it together. I'm going to conduct. So, when my hands are up like this, when they're opened, it means hold the syllable. And when they're closed, it means stop the syllable. When they're down low, it means do it quietly. And when they're up high, it means do it loud. And in the middle, you can probably deduce, is somewhere between the two. So I was trying to think what would be a good phrase that all the kids could probably embrace. And I came up with Halloween. So those are the 3 syllables we're going to use. So it'll be Halloween. 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 Halloween, 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 Halloween. Fantastic. And I think that's it. That's the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Rock. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
This is the time that our congregation comes together to support this congregation, and anyone visiting is welcome to contribute. We pass the offertory basket. Sometimes you don't see much money in the basket itself because we pledge over time. However, you need to know that the finances of this church are totally based on the congregation. And the congregation gives on a regular basis and maintains this congregation. And we'll pass the basket. I'd like to introduce our musicians at this time. I asked for something about their passion for music, and we have the privilege of having them with us on a regular basis, but how much do we really know? So I'm going to start with our guest, who you already know, turned some special age today. His name is Rick Kendall. He has provided some music support in the past and played with the guitar with us. And this is what he wrote. I've had music in my life for many, many years in all forms, from the production of shows, performing, and the study of frequency. About 15 years ago, was exposed to sound healing through my friend Michelle Baker. From there, I delved into sound bath healing, grateful for the magical musical moments it can bring to those who explore the listening of all that sound therapy offers. And now I'll introduce you to Ray. Ray is often in the back. We don't always see her, but she's always there. I started playing drums when I was very young. I started going to drum circles once a week from ages 7 to 14. At 13, I learned the Cajun, and at 15, I started taking lessons on a drum set. I got the drum set for my 16th birthday, and I used to play at home. When I turned 18, I moved out of my house, so I had to leave my drum set. But I got it back this year, and have been playing all the time. I go to open mics about twice a week to sing and to play the drums. You know, the other drum practice, you're my teacher kind, right? And I've been singing for as long as I can remember, and was in choir until the end of my sophomore year. And now I'll introduce Mike Kilmer. He's been our pianist for a while, and multiple musical instruments that he plays. Born in Montgomery, Alabama, and raised in Hoboken. I wasn't even sure there was a town of Hoboken. I feel like I'm really in the South, but that is Hoboken, New Jersey. Mike Kilmer grew up in a family active in arts and social justice, learned the piano from their mother, Beth, and at the age of 11, saw songwriting as a calling. Rivka, his wife, and Mike have stubbornly remained collaborators in family, love, and music for over 2 decades. And now we will hear from them during this time. Devotional music, God is always at hand with gracious presence. Quote by Johann Sebastian Bach. And now I'll turn the microphone over to Mike.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to share and further refine my understanding of musical prayer. It's been a blessing to have been raised with a great interest in and reverence for the power of music to bring us closer to the divine and each other. Wonderfully, this community welcomes atheists, whom I hope will tolerate references to God in terms of perhaps the one who does not exist, aspects of reality that defy rational interface, or some other fun, applicable term. There's a phrase in the Bhagavad Gita offering the idea that scriptures are of little value to one who sees God everywhere. For the rest of us, there are myriad systems, cosmologies, symbols, philosophies, and other tools that can facilitate our journey through this mystery-filled fog of existence. Iconoclastic occultist Aleister Crowley suggested that true religion is intoxication, and that all acts which excite the divine in us are proper to the rite of invocation. Sufi tradition echoes this sentiment in spiritual metaphors of wine and intoxication as states of divine bliss, and at the very least, departure from the realm of rationality. We can achieve states of ecstatic bliss through music. In yogic terms, this is an aspect of the bhakti tradition, the yoga of devotion, the soul's voicing of its aspiration. It's one of 8 limbs of yoga, as described in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the others which concentrate on ethical guidelines, physical postures, breath control, withdrawal of the senses, concentration, meditation, and absorption. Luminary 12th century poet, composer, and mystic Hildegard von Bingen wrote, "Don't let yourself forget that God's grace rewards not only those who never slip, but also those who bend and fall. So sing." The song of rejoicing softens hard hearts. It makes tears of godly sorrow flow from them. Singing summons the Holy Spirit. Happy praises offered in simplicity and love lead the faithful to complete harmony without discord. Don't stop singing. Some people feel that they can't sing. Some of us will say, I can't sing. And I would suggest that if you can speak, then you are singing. Just like some of us might say, I suck at math. But you can, I almost guarantee, see that one apple is less than 2 apples, and that if you have 1 apple and you get another apple, they can be put together, and now you have 2 apples. So that's math. I would like you guys to quickly indulge me in a vocalized yawn. So inhale and Beautiful. So everyone in this room that yawned just sang, right? It's more than one pitch. And of course, we all have rhythm, because when we walk, and some of us have walkers, but still, we probably walk at a relatively steady pace. So we all have hearts that beat, we have rhythm, we have voices. So when you're feeling like, I can't sing, it's not you that's feeling like that, it's your brain going, I can't sing. And that's what you want, right? You taught me to do the I can't sing trick like a little puppy, and just be like, no, my bad, I didn't want you to say I can't sing. I'm just going to do my best. And if this talk can do anything, I hope that it'll make us all, more comfortable with the idea of using these bodies we've got for a moment to connect with our divinity. Which brings me to the idea of Tantra. I'm going to talk about Tantra and Prana, which are 2 concepts that come to us from India. as it was explained to me during the Vedic period between about 1500 and 2000 BCE, the human body was viewed as separate from and perhaps even impeding the connection with the divine. Spiritual practitioners aim to transcend the body and the material world. In the Tantric philosophy, beginning about 200 BC, the body began to be considered as a spiritual thing in and of itself. The body started to be seen as a manifestation of our divinity and perhaps a map to the divine. This ties in with the Sanskrit word prana, which signifies breath and life and cosmic energy. So it's one word, and when you think of it, breath is the first thing we do when we're born. It's with these bodies. It's the last thing we do when we're done with the body. We inhale at the beginning, we exhale at the end, and that prana is this thing we can't see that connects us theoretically with the divine nature of our physical manifestation. So I want us to do a quick pranayama practice. There are breath practices, and this one is called Kapalabhati. So put your one hand on your belly, and another one, if you can breathe through your nose, under your nose. If your nose is clogged up, you can put it in front of your mouth. Take an inhale, and then use your belly to quickly go push out a little bit of air, and then just release. You'll notice that the diaphragm, which is connected to the belly, kind of springs and pulls the air back in naturally. So let's do a few of those. Out, and then let go. Out, and then let go. Beautiful. So a lot of people notice that their tendency is to have the belly go out on the exhalation as opposed to in. And you can train yourself out of that. I don't know why our culture has developed that reverse breathing practice, but this kind of breath practice can train you to oxygenate the body better, which is going to oxygenate the blood and stimulate the brain and digestive organs, reduce stress, and facilitate vocalization. Now, this is really cool. One of the selfish impetuses behind me giving this presentation is it would make me block out time to do stuff that I'd like to do anyway. And I looked up some historical concepts I didn't know, like what the history of hymn singing is. So I'm going to share a bit of that with you. So there's chanting and mantra and hymns that I'm going to talk about here. Chanting is a spiritual practice found in myriad cultures and religions with historical documentation going back at least as far as 1,300 years before the birth of Christ. Various Old Testament books, especially the Psalms and the Chronicles, testify to the central function of music in temple worship. Psalms 154, derived from the Torah, states, "Praise him with the timbrel and dance. Praise him with stringed instruments and flutes." Repetitive chanting is found in Byzantine, Gregorian, and other Christian traditions, Jewish cantillation, Hindu bhajan, Tibetan harmonic and Mongolian throat singing, Buddhist sutra, Sikh kirtan, the widely influential prayer calls of the Muslim muezzin, the Sufi zikr, which are calls to remember, the Orisha songs of the Nigerian Yoruba, Aboriginal Australian songlines, Narito chants of the Shinto religion in Japan, indigenous tribes of the Americas, and countless other traditions utilize the practice, many also utilizing hymn singing. Hymns are songs in praise of one or more deities and are found in the earliest of religious texts. the collection of Vedic Sanskrit hymns. The Rig Veda is one of the oldest known texts in the world. 3,400-year-old Hurrian hymn to the Mesopotamian goddess Nikal is the oldest surviving substantially complete work of notated music in the world. That's 3,400 years old. In ancient Egypt, inscribed on the walls of the mid-14th century BC tomb of Pharaoh Amenhotep IV was found the great hymn to Aten. How manifold it is what thou hast made. They are hidden from the face. O sole God, like whom there is no other, thou didst create the world according to thy desire. Whilst thou wert alone, all men, cattle, and wild beasts, whatever is on earth, going upon feet, and what is on high, flying with its vast wings. A later excerpt continues, you are in my heart. And remember, this is just his story. There was before this, which was probably not his anything. This hymn to sun god Aten has been compared to Psalm 104 in the Bible, which begins, Barachi nafti es Adonai, bless the Lord, O my soul. Hymnologist Arthur Weigel compared the two texts side by side, commenting that in the face of this remarkable similarity, one can hardly doubt that there is a direct connection between the two compositions, and it becomes necessary to ask whether both Akhenaten's hymn and this Hebrew psalm were derived from a common Syrian source, or whether Psalm 104 is derived from the Pharaoh's original poem. Both views are admissible. Then there's the Homeric poems celebrating Greek deities. Early Christians are supposed to have sung hymns together. A passage from Colossians indicates, let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. Interestingly, though, and not surprisingly to most of us, I'm sure, in Roman Catholic churches by the outset of the Protestant Reformation, priests chanted in Latin and choirs of professional singers predominantly sang polyphonic choral music in Latin. Musician and author Paul S. Jones writes that at the time there was neither congregational song nor any church music in the common tongue. It was the work of Martin Luther and John Calvin during the Protestant Reformation that brought hymn singing back to the masses. Initially, hymnals didn't include music, only lyrics and meters through which the familiar melodies could be applied to the lyrics. The congregation would learn the tune from the choir or song leader. In around 1800, there was intense debate over the old way of Old Testament style psalm chanting versus the new way of hymn singing. Congregational music reading and literacy were the result of a broad social movement, including regular educational hymnotic social events. That's not hymnotic, it's hymnodic social events, which were popular in part due to the limited social options at the time. A brilliant and prolific hymn composer named William Billings was considered the unrivaled champion of the New Way. He published his first book of original songs in 1770, and much of the text was drawn from Unitarian poets. Billings is credited with organizing the first church choir in America, and by the late 1880s, his music was known across the United States, with nearly every songbook published in America, including some of his work. In A History of Music at First Parish, Concord in Massachusetts, Eleanor Billings describes the era this way. Billings was part of a whole generation of singing masters who would travel from town to town holding classes on note reading. These evenings were especially popular among the young people in the towns, as both young men and women were welcome and social events were few. Those who attended the classes came to be called the New Way Singers, who read notes and before long were seated in their own section of the church to lead the congregational singing. It's also around this time that shape notation and shape note or sacred harp singing, which you may be familiar with, were developing. Black American populations at this time were largely illiterate and cultivated a rich call and response approach to hymn singing. Organized in 1871 out of Nashville, Tennessee's Fisk University, the Fisk Jubilee Singers toured the United States and Europe in the 1870s and 80s, singing spirituals and hymns in the African American tradition, and were credited with the popularization and preservation of this orally evolved music, a sibling of which is gospel music, which combines spirituals with elements of the blues. The Unitarian Universalist hymnals that we use and musical activities that we participate in are clearly influenced and informed by many of the aforementioned and cross-cultural traditions. Pretty cool, huh? I was really psyched to see that it was Universalist poetry that was like made up a large body of the original hymnal lyrics. As our voices are an aspect of our physical manifestation, I want to work with one of the oldest and most popular interfaces between the physical and spiritual realms, the chakra system. The word chakra translates from Sanskrit as circle or wheel, and the chakra system refers to energy centers. There are varying but largely similar ideas about where exactly in the body these primary energy centers are, whether they're called chakras or by other names. I'm told that the original system from Buddhist and Hindu tradition is a system that associates colors with the lower 5 of 7 chakras: gold at the root, clear or white representing the milk of Vishnu in the navel area, red at the solar plexus, green at the heart, and blue or black at the throat. The colors of the popular New Age system correspond with those of the rainbow, which is less engaging but offers a familiar mapping by which to memorize and visualize these energy centers, which I'm going to walk through quickly right now. Red at the root, located at the base of the pelvis, is the energy associated with our connection to the earth. Material needs, food, digestion, shelter, safety, that's at the base of the pelvis. In the navel region, orange, which is the center of creativity and sexuality. That was always interesting to me, that the center of sexuality is, in fact, not in our genitals in this system. It's in the navel area. Yellow at the solar plexus is the center of will. Green at the heart is where compassion and anger reside. Blue at the throat is the center of communication, listening, and speaking. Indigo at the third eye is the center of perception, and violet at the crown of the head is our connection with the divine. There are mudras, which are sacred hand gestures, and bijas, which are seed syllables that are associated with each one of these chakras. And you can do meditations and visualizations which include the mudras and the bijas and the visualization, and do work on your spiritual being. I'm going to really quickly do a lam meditation with you guys. Lam is the seed syllable of our connection with the earth. And the mudra is you put the point of the tip of your thumb and tip of your ring finger together and keep the other fingers extended. And then you'll point down. If you were sitting on the ground, you'd be touching the ground with these fingers. And then we're just going to say Lam, as low as you can, as low a pitch as you can, You'll inhale and do lam until the exhalation is complete. So everybody's going to have a different length of lam, and they're going to kind of lap over each other like waves. So inhale and lam. If you want to, you can close your eyes. Lam. You can visualize gold roots going down from your body into the earth. Lam. And you can visualize the earth having veins that reach up and intertwine with your own roots. Lam. You can feel the hug of gravity. Lam. The earth is the source and destination of these bodies. Lam. And we're using the voice as a tool, lam, to deepen, lam, our connection with the earth. Lam. Lam. And using the ears to deepen your connection of the lam, relationship between other members of your community and the earth. Lam. We're all part of the same thing. Lam. This is the Muladhara chakra. Lam. Slowly, gently return to the vibration of silence. You guys are so awesome. I was going to talk a bit about Nada Yoga, which is the science of sound, and there's kind of there's ahata, which is actualized sound or the struck sound, and there's anahata, which is the unstruck sound, the internal sound. Somebody told me, and I haven't really been able to find like a verification of it, but it makes sense that the sound inside our bodies would be what really is much louder to us than the sound outside our bodies, but the brain filters out the internal sound, which is why for the most part we can't hear. Because when we hear something, there's, vibrating air molecules that come into the ears, and then the brain does all this work that is still a complete mystery to neurologists. We do not understand what is going on with the brain and what we call hearing something. So one of the practices in meditation is to tune in with that internal sound and where you are. We're going to have a closing song which is kirtan style. So that's back and forth. I didn't print out the words for you guys to look at because part of the practice is the listening. So as you're thinking, what are they saying? Know that what are they saying? And the hearing of it is its own prayer. When you see Stevie Wonder going like this, he says, I'm grabbing the sound waves. And if you actually do that, you'll notice, like, wow, everything sounds like brighter. For doing that, your ears are going up. So we're going to do this beautiful chant, unless it's too late. I don't know. I mean, it's 1 minute of, and are we all right with this? So this is a gorgeous Hindu chant that our teacher Joe Brennan used to do at the end of every class back in the 90s. Om Asatoma Sat Gamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityurma Amritan Gamaya. And then Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Peace Peace Peace. So we're going to do it one phrase at a time, but I'll quickly walk you through it. It starts with Om, Asatoma Sat Gamaya. I'll start with the last word because all three of the first lines end with Gamaya. It means, oh, lead. Sat is being, truth. And Asat is non-being or non-truth. And Ma is me. So Asatoma Sat Gamaya is from non-being, me, to being, oh, lead. And then the next one, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, from darkness, me, to eternal light, oh, lead. And then Mrityurma Amritan Gamaya is from non-being, me, to being, oh, lead. I'm sorry, from death, me, to eternal life, or non-death, oh, lead. And I love this concept from the Bhagavad Gita. That which is can never not be, and that which is not can never be. So there's nothing to worry about, because anything that's going to die, that part that died was never there in the first place. We just imagined that it was. And the part that remains is, and the part that was real, that is real, can't go anywhere. And that's, to me, what this prayer is about, bringing ourselves in touch with, lead me from seeing the reality, seeing and being in touch with what's real as opposed to what's not. So I'll do one little line at a time, and you'll listen and then repeat. And feel free to do it, the way I used to do it in Catholic school, where I kind of mumble it and pretend I knew it. Om Asatoma Sat Gamaya, Om Asatoma Sat Gamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Asatoma Sat Gamaya, Om Asatoma Sat Gamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Beautiful, awesome. You guys are such good sports.
And as we extinguish the candle, Rick, would you mind? These are the closing words. We are as the flute, and the music in us is from thee. We are as the mountain, and the echo in us is from thee. Jamal Ladin Muhammad Rumi. Go in peace.